各位傳媒朋友，領展嘅新聞發佈會網上直播即將開始。喺開始之前，我哋想提大家，我哋已經喺中午嘅時分發佈咗中期業績報告嘅公告，相關嘅新聞稿亦都已經上載咗喺領展嘅網頁。新聞發佈會上邊有中期業績嘅介紹，你哋可以喺網上邊下載。我哋跟住會有呢個答問環節，你哋可以透過網上邊嘅提問。請你哋提供你哋嘅姓名同埋你哋所代表嘅傳媒機構，我哋喺完成咗中期業績報告嘅介紹之後，會回應你哋嘅提問。Good afternoon, everyone. Our press conference through live webcast is about to begin. Before it begins, I would like to inform you that the announcement of our interim results has been issued during lunch hours. The press release has also been issued and uploaded on our website.There will be a presentation during the press conference. You can download it via the webcast link. After the presentation, there will be a Q&A session. You can submit your questions online, and please provide your name and the media organization you represent. 歡迎大家參加領展房地產投資信託基金2019至到2020年度中期業績新聞發佈會。基於近日嘅交通情況，我哋今日嘅新聞發佈會係以網上嘅視像直播進行。Thank you all for joining the press conference on Link REIT interim financial results for the year 2019 to 2020. Considering the recent traffic conditions, the press conference is conducted through live webcast today. Allow me to introduce our presenters today. In the middle is our chairman, Mr. Nicholas Charles Allen.To his left is Mr. George Hong Choi, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of Link. And to his right is Mr. Kok Siong Ng, Chief Financial Officer of Link. 今日同大家見面嘅有3位領展管理層，中間嘅係領展資產管理有限公司主席聶雅倫先生。主席左手邊嘅係領展執行董事兼行政總裁黃國龍先生。而主席右手邊嘅係領展首席財務總監黃國祥先生。Thank you, gentlemen, for the presentation. We will now answer the questions from media. Due to time constraints, questions pertaining to the financial results will be handled first. We will try to respond to other questions if time allows. If there are any follow-up questions, you can also submit them online. 而家係答問環節嘅時間。由於時間關係，我哋會優先處理回應有關業績相關嘅問題。喺時間許可嘅情況之下，我哋亦都會盡量回應其他嘅問題。如果有跟進嘅問題，你哋可以喺網上面提問。We have received the following questions. The first question is from South China Morning Post. Cheryl Asibel asked about how are the protests impacting Link's mall shopping centres?Have sales declined? How about occupancy? Has Link extended any assistance to tenants such as reduction of rents? Chairman?
Yes, thank you for the question. We obviously track sales by our tenants across our portfolio, and the latest figures we have show that our tenant sales are running at approximately 1.5% up.So they are showing, as we said in the presentation, some resilience. In terms of discussions with tenants around rents, out of the 126 properties that we have in Hong Kong, we have around 10 properties where we have seen the need to have discussions with our tenants, and we're doing that on a tenant-by-tenant basis, depending on the times of closure, etc., etc. So we're very conscious that some of our tenants are facing some hardship, and we are trying hard to work with them to help them through that process. But on a broad overall basis, our tenant sales have been resilient during this period.
Thank you, Chairman. 我哋收到另外一個問題係由明報嘅陳偉生問嘅，都係有關呢一個有少少跟進有關剛才南華早報嘅問題。社會風波有冇影響到續租？而續租嘅租金幅度有冇降低？ 咁另一個問題咧就係有關買賣手數嘅問題嘅，就係今次降低每手嘅股數，係咪希望吸引更加多嘅散戶投資者？而目前有冇統計機構投資者同埋散戶嘅比例係點樣呢？會唔會期望今次嘅調整，投資者組合有冇一啲嘅變化？呢個係明報記者嘅提問嚟嘅。
I only just got the earphones on for the second half of the question, so I'll answer the second half of the question, and I'll let George answer the first half.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
You asked a question about board lots. At our last AGM, we had a question from one of the shareholders in the audience who brought to our attention that our share lots did look to be quite large. And so what we have done this time around is really in response to that question from a shareholder, because we do want to try and make the lives of our shareholders as easy as possible. So it hasn't been designed in any way to change our investor portfolio. It's just been in response to a valid request that we had from a retail shareholder asking if we could accommodate a request for a smaller board lot size.
Okay, thank you.
我用中文重複翻頭先主席答咗嘅第二個問題啦。咁每一手嘅買賣單位我哋係由500轉到去100個基金單位。咁呢個提議其實係喺最近嘅週年大會啦，咁就有一位單位持有人呢係喺當時提出嘅。咁領展喺上市到而家嗰個股價都升咗唔少啦，咁所以每一個即係單位嘅買賣單位嘅金額咧嘅係升高咗好多。咁我哋都大約有30%係即係散戶嘅投資者。咁我哋覺得如果可以調低咗呢個每手單位嘅價格咧，咁希望可以咧對於一啲散戶嘅投資者啊，可以多啲機會去買到領展嘅單位。咁所以呢個係我哋希望喺1月初可以做到嘅。咁至於關於社會事件最近點樣影響到我哋傾租約啊，咁我哋亦因應咗租戶嘅唔同嘅行業啦、營業額啦，同埋最近佢哋嘅表現啦，尤其是喺最近嘅事件對佢哋嘅生意嘅影響啊，咁都有過去幾個月好多唔同嘅即係傾租約嘅機會啦，都發覺大家對於零售市道嗰個前景係有一定嘅保守嘅睇法嘅，咁所以咧喺我哋續租方面咧，咁亦係應該有一啲影響。咁呢個我哋希望即係喺未來呢幾個月咧，繼續可以支持到我哋嘅租客。
好多謝主席同黃生。跟住我哋收到係《東方日報》Jacob Wong 嘅問題，喺股東會上董事係承諾會考慮股東提出以股代息嘅建議，請問會否實現？
I'm not sure it's correct to say that directors made a promise on scrip dividend.
Yes, yes.
Don't believe
From Oriental Daily News.
I understand the question. I'm just saying that it's a topic that we have focused on from time to time. I just don't think it's correct to say that the board of directors promised to do that. I know that was the question, but that's not a correct statement. We have looked at it, and it's not our intention to issue scrip dividends. That's my answer.
以股代息係喺週年大會有人問嘅，咁以股代息喺香港嚟講嘅制度咧，就因為定價咧係先定價，然後先再去決定買唔買嘅，咁所以對於領展作為一個基金嚟講咧，我哋覺得有更加好嘅方法俾到投資者咧去買領展嘅股票，咁如果大家有興趣嘅，咁喺市場買啦，我有可能比以股代息啦係更加方便同埋有效嘅方法，咁所以我哋暫時冇一個考慮話將之前我哋停咗嘅以股代息呢個計劃再重啟翻。
好多謝。跟住我哋收到Cable TV Wyman Ma 嘅問題，有關有示威者近日破壞商場，集團旗下有幾多商場同商戶受到影響呢？ 商戶有冇投訴？
I think it's evident from everybody following the news that there have been impacts upon retail outlets in Hong Kong, and we have had a number of our outlets that have been affected by these public activities. But as I said in my earlier comments, we have 126 properties in Hong Kong, and the vast majority of them are set in public housing estates. So we've been fortunate that they haven't all been involved in the public activities, and probably about 10 of our malls are areas where we have had to work closely with our tenants to make sure that we keep our staff safe, that we're able to keep our tenants safe, and we're able to help them manage their business during trying times.
Thank you.
我哋嘅首要考慮咧係顧客同埋我哋嘅租戶嘅安全啦。咁喺一啲緊急嘅情況之下，我哋做到評估，覺得有咁嘅需要嘅，咁當然亦做咗一啲適當嘅措施。咁喺過去呢幾個月嘅，咁的確有都唔少嘅商戶咧係受到一啲破壞啊咁呢個我哋都盡量協助啲商戶可以盡快咁樣維修，可以令到佢哋可以繼續營運。咁對於其他嘅顧客或者租戶，當然亦有相對嘅影響。咁我哋希望可以盡快令到即係嗰啲商場可以持續咁樣開得到，令到佢哋啲商戶可以繼續營運。咁呢個都係我哋物業管理團隊花好多人力同埋精力去處理嘅一件事。
多謝。跟住another question from Nikkei, Benny Kong of Nikkei. The question is, in what ways are the local social movements affecting the decision-making process among senior management in the past few months, as well as the implementation of your Vision 2025 plan? Can you give us some additional color regarding the M&A process in China? Is it easy to spot quality targets? Are sellers asking for too much?
I'll take that second part in relation to M&A activity in China. I think we're fortunate that we are a player in that market, and therefore we are able to have agents bring to us a whole series of opportunities. So we have investment teams within the organization that spend many hours looking at opportunities in China. So I don't see that supply curtailing in any way. We have very strict criteria that we apply as to what would be a good asset to bring into our portfolio. And those of you that follow us will know that we focus on Tier 1 cities, and we're in local community, predominantly non-discretionary retail. So within that subset, we still have a significant flow of investments that we're able to look at, both in China and indeed elsewhere in other territories that we might look at. What was the first part of the question?
The first part is about in what ways are the local social movements affecting the decision-making process among senior management in the past few months, as well as the implementation of the Vision 2025 plan.
As George has alluded to, and you'll appreciate that we have to watch very carefully how our tenants and our customers and our staff are impacted by the various social movements in Hong Kong. And so there has been a very significant focus within the management team on making sure that those tenants and our staff, etc., are kept safe and are able to operate as best as they can, and that we are able to tidy up where necessary to enable tenants to come back to open their stores the following day, and importantly for customers to come and shop in the 50% of our portfolio, which is F&B and supermarkets, etc. So yes, it obviously has had an impact, and there is a need to have a focus on it. Vision 2025 is a 6-year plan, and we are focused on longer-term view, and we will remain focused on that 2025 plan, as well as focused on what is immediately in need of focus in Hong Kong.
Thank you。跟住我哋收到《經濟日報》Wendy Chan 嘅問題，領展上半年僅回購1300萬個基金單位，回購嘅預期是否較領展預期為慢？要完成全年回購6000萬個基金單位嘅目標，會唔會有難度？呢個第一個問題。第二個問題係領展按相同基準計算，零售收益總額按年增加8.9%。請問7至9月嘅零售收益增幅係幾多？社會事件有冇對領展嘅零售收益有重大嘅打擊？兩個問題。
Thank you for asking a question that I can pass to KS to answer. So KS will take the capital buyback question, and if he feels he'd like to comment on the second question, please go ahead. Otherwise, perhaps George will pick up on that.
I'll answer the first question. So yes, at the beginning of the year, we did announce that we want to do buyback of up to 60 million units to return capital to shareholders. We managed to only do 13. On a day-to-day basis, we have limitations on how much we could do. Individually, in each of those open days, there's a certain amount that we can execute without artificially manipulating or causing price fluctuations. And then there are days that we are unable to due to blackouts or certain price-sensitive information. So we have tried our best in the first half, and we can only accumulate 13. I think for the second half of the year, we will continue to try our best to complete that 47, again subject to daily volume and whatever restrictions, as well as market conditions, as well as the sensitive information and blackout that we are exposed to.
Okay, thank you.
喺營業方面，喺收益總額嗰個增長，的確係一個平均數嚟嘅。咁個問題即係都針對即係一個即係都係啱嘅，就係喺最近呢幾個月咧，的確係慢咗落嚟嘅。咁但係喺個平均數嚟講，當然我哋仲可以保持到呢個8.2嘅增長啦。咁但係過去呢幾個月，的確個挑戰係大咗嘅。
好，多謝。跟住《東方日報》仲有一個問題就係續租嘅租金調整率回落4.4個百分點至到18.1%，係咪加租嘅能力已經由高位回落？未來1-2年都會維持低於20% 嘅增長？
Well, I think mathematically it's true. It has come down from a 20-plus figure to 18%, so mathematically the answer must be yes. It will depend upon what conditions are over the next year to 2 years as to what the reversion rates will be going forward. I wouldn't feel I'm in a position to make any forecasts today.
Thank you.
續租租金嘅調整率咧係調低到去18%啦。咁大家唔好忘記嘅就係呢個續租租金調整率啦，係按我哋嘅3年嘅長嘅租約去調整嘅。咁所以咧就如果睇一個平均每一年嘅增幅咧，其實啦都係都仲係理想嘅。咁當然喺個別嘅情況之下，我哋有調高啲啦。咁作為一個平均數嘅，我哋亦有唔少嘅租約啦係減租嘅。咁所以喺即係有減租同埋加租嘅情況之下，計到呢個平均數係比上一年係的確下降咗嘅。
Thank you. Since time is running short, we will handle 2 more questions. Follow-up questions from South China Morning Post. Have Link malls seen a decline in occupancy rates in recent months owing to protests? If yes, how many tenants closed shops?
Sorry, I don't believe that that we're facing shop closures at the moment. So occupancy has remained very high throughout this period. It's a situation that we're watching closely and talking to tenants about, but at the moment it hasn't impacted our occupancy.
Thank you. Here comes the last questions. 最後一個問題係明報嘅。請問會唔會調整投資策略呢？例如多啲投資內地同埋海外，有邊啲國家嘅市場會留意呢？另外，我哋見到你哋為咗內地個別嘅物業翻新，請問預算嘅費用有幾多呢？其他內地嘅物業會唔會亦都需要翻新呢？
As a REIT, we focus very carefully on the rental income that we're able to derive from our properties and the future prospect of growth in that rental income, and we apply those criteria to assets that we would look at in any jurisdiction. So we will continue to look at assets in Hong Kong that will meet our criteria, just as we look at assets in China that will meet our criteria. So we don't start with a geography and then look for assets. We have a view about what we want assets to achieve for us and a certain risk profile, and then we will go and look for those assets. We have inevitably a significant expertise in managing properties in Hong Kong and now in China, so it is easier for us to buy in those two locations. But we would also look opportunistically elsewhere if we were given assets to look at that met our criteria and that would generate the MPI and the DPU growth that we seek for our financial stakeholders. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, George.
我哋嘅投資策略係繼續去揾一啲有收入增長嘅項目啦。咁所以喺過去幾年喺香港同埋中國嘅一線城市咧，我哋都會留意投資嘅機會。咁我哋亦喺幾個月前講過話喺國內咧，我哋亦會將呢個我哋嘅覆蓋嘅範圍去考慮周邊嘅三角洲啦，即係渤海、長三角同埋大灣區。咁至於其他嘅市場，我哋會有合適嘅機會，我哋都會去注視嘅。咁至於國內嘅物業嘅翻新，咁我哋最主要係針對中心城、深圳中央心城今年年初收購咗之後，咁我哋有個計劃就將佢提升。咁而家仲係做緊設計同埋預算，咁所以我諗有適當嘅時候，我哋就會同大家講，即係大約我哋嘅預算係幾多啦。其他嘅至於其他嘅商場有一啲即係細嘅工程啊，即係將啲廁所做翻好啊，換地台啊，呢啲其實都係不停有做嘅。咁廣州西城都會所有嘅地磚喺最近呢幾個月咧已經全部換晒啦。咁亦開始準備緊一啲新嘅小型工程。咁所以呢啲係喺我哋管理無論香港或者國內嘅物業咧，我哋都要不停咁去做嘅。咁所以呢個係喺我哋嘅預測之中㗎啦。
好多謝。由於我哋跟住接住落嚟，我哋有分析員嘅簡報會，咁我哋今日嘅新聞發佈會咧就圓滿結束。我哋好多謝各位參加呢個網上直播。Due to the fact that we have an analyst briefing right after the press conference, this brings us to the end of today's press conference. Thank you very much for joining us for the webcast. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Link's interim results briefing for the 6 months ended September 30th, 2019. Due to the uncertainties over traffic conditions today, we are conducting our briefing on webcast. Today, we are glad that we have here with us our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. George Hong Choi, our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Kok Siong Ng, and our Chief Strategy Officer, Mr. Eric Yao. Without further ado, let me invite the management to go through our interim update.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. The first question comes from Mark Leung of UBS. For the first question, in the announcement which indicated that the discretionary distribution along with the announced buyback is funded by the divestment premium of 2.8 billion achieved, is it accurate for us to conclude Link is only planning to buy back shares in the first half? And is this correct that should we expect the company will not be able to achieve the 60 million buyback target within the financial year 2020? Second question, in the future, in what case will your discretionary DPU scheme extend or terminate? And the third question from Mark is, what is your 2020 second quarter retail sales growth?
Yeah. So I'll take the first two questions. On the buyback, yes, we have announced that we are going to do 60, and we intend to complete this amount. Ideally, we want to finish it within the financial year. But in the first half, we managed to only do 13 due to all the restrictions, regulations, as well as blackout sensitive information that we hold. So I think we try our best, but we also, in terms of time and volume, in terms of price, we also have an intrinsic value which we decide when is a good time to buy. And then the daily mechanism is there's also restriction on how much we can buy a day. So all those factors put together, we managed to do 13 million for first half. We would like to finish the 47, hopefully by the end of the second half. If we can't, then we have to announce what's the plan to continue to return the remaining. As to the other question on the discretionary dividend, I think as of this stage, we have announced that this amount is for 3 years. So I think that is clear. Should there be any more changes to the portfolio, big movements, we will have to relook at it holistically. I think the intent was from the divestment premium, we wanted to return a pot in both combination of special dividend as well as buyback. And as far as that amount is concerned, this is where we are as far as the last disposal.
With regard to trading conditions, the second quarter of the year experienced further slowdown compared to the first quarter. The first part of the year, I think we see some impact from the trade war, and getting into the second quarter, the impact from the protests starting to be reflected in some of the discussion with tenants about rent, lease renewal, and also how we have attract tenants. We're very pleased to say that during this first half, we still have attracted quite a large number of new tenants opening shops in our portfolio. But at the same time, obviously, there are challenges, given that there are days where we probably have limited the number of trading hours at a small number of our shopping centers.
Thank you, George. Second question comes from Ken Young of Citi. On rental concession, can we have a percentage of the tenants that are getting rental concession? And what is the range of rent cut and duration for such concession? And the second question from Ken is on rental reversion. Can you share the rental outlook of the reversion for the second half?
We have decided to have the rent waived for the 2 days that the Temple Mall was closed. So for tenants in that property, we have refunded the rent for those 2 days that was closed. As to other shopping centers, I think the other one that has been affected more seriously is TOP in Mongkok, and we having different treatment, and it's really on a case-by-case basis how we deal with that. For the wider portfolio, I think the negotiation are no different from what we have done in the past. I guess the range has widened from large negative reversion to high double-digit reversion, the average of which, as we have reported, is 18%. We will continue to see how we can support our tenants, especially since now we do have the data with tenant sales and also implication from the protests in terms of losing footfall and all that. we have to take all that into account. So we don't have a general number, we don't have a general policy. It's really depending on the location and the particular trade.
Thank you. Third question comes from David Ng of Macquarie. Can you please share the latest trend of F&B tenants closing or moving out and the expectation of a potential rise of vacancy in the coming quarters? Can you share with us September retail sales decline or comparison versus the overall Hong Kong retail market performance?
We are not seeing, a substantial F&B tenants moving out. Our occupancy as of September 30th was still quite high, at close to 97%. So we don't see, as of now, any worsening in terms of vacancy rates. Regarding the question for, the second question was?
The September retail sales decline versus overall Hong Kong.
I think I've always been a bit hesitant to look at just single month tenant sales because it could be quite misleading. September is always a difficult month to gauge because it depends on whether Mid-Autumn Festival happens earlier, later, and there are quite a number of months where these sort of festivities and holidays would affect single month tenant sales. As George mentioned earlier, as a trend-wise, we do see the second half of our first year, tenant sales growth has softened versus the first half of our interim period. But still, there are some relative bright spots amongst the tenants. Most notably, obviously, is supermarkets. And also, we know the fresh markets are doing quite okay as well. Because the feedback is, there are more people eating at home and then shopping more at the supermarkets. Other F&B tenants are doing relatively okay with, slow growth, but still relatively okay growth. But general retail, then the behavior is a lot more, falls within a much wider range, as George described earlier.
Thank you. Next question comes from Brian Wong of Franklin Templeton. Can you please share your view on the China office rental reversion at 13.5%, which is showing a slowing of growth compared to 2019? Understand that the portfolio is resilient, but what is the outlook for the retail rental reversion for the next 6 to 12 months with the ongoing social unrest for Hong Kong?
Hong Kong or China?
First part on China, second part on Hong Kong.
I think, to be fair, the last round of rental reversion was way above market, where we clocked above 20% of our rental reversion. I'm pleasantly surprised that we managed to even get above 10 this round, knowing that there is a supply that's coming through. But given where Link Square's location is and the Class A grade office in the prime location in Shanghai, I think it would be great if we could manage to hold or at least bring up the rental reversion slightly, keeping occupancy to as high as possible. So we all know that the Shanghai market will see a bit of a supply coming through. I think for Hong Kong, I think the overall fundamental is that people are taking a whole approach. We have a lot of inquiries, viewings, potentially going through a few more negotiations that we could stitch up soon. But by and large, I think it's been a bit slower than what we planned. But given the huge arbitrage between Central and Kowloon Bay, I think slowly we'll still see some demand coming through to this side of the island. So keep fingers crossed. We are still hoping to get this TQS to full occupancy, hopefully end of this year or early next year.
Thank you. Next question comes from Alvin Huang of CLSA. Will there still be discretionary distribution on top of the 14 cents discretionary distribution budgeted for the next few years?
I think based on this round, where we said 3 years for the purpose of the last disposal, I think this is where it is now. No plans for more discretionary unless we see a reason for it.
Thank you. I would like to extend the invitation for Q&As on the webcast. If you do have any questions, please do. There is a button at the bottom. One more question coming from Goldman, from Justin Kwok of Goldman. In view of the current marketing environment, what's the likelihood or intention to conduct more asset disposals? And the second question is for the portfolio valuation cap rates. Have you seen any early signs that might potentially lead to expansion of cap rates in Hong Kong?
For Vision 2025, we are very focused on growing our portfolio value. So while divestment may be one of the drivers for the growth in the next few years, I think we are seeking at how to actually find good assets. That has been our key focus. We don't have any imminent plan to further diversify assets at this moment. Cap rate.
I think there are two sets of tensions pulling the cap rate. I think generally, sitting where we are, there's a bit of a gloom. But overall, if you look at where interest rates have been moving globally, there's a trend that interest rates continue to lower. So I think there's both forces. I think as far as where the valuers are, they are comfortable to keep the cap rates as it is. No evidence that there's a market panic where people are selling things at a fire sale to reset a new cap rate. So I think we are still good. I think generally most of the real estate players or investors in Hong Kong are pretty deep pocket, strong holders, as we have seen in the past. So at this stage, we don't think there will be any decompression.
Next question comes from Patrick Wong of Bloomberg. What is the latest occupancy rate of the quayside? And is there any update on the initial yield on cost for this project?
The current occupancy of quayside for the office portion, it's as per our last disclosure, which is slightly below 70% occupancy for the office. As for retail, then because we're actually seeing, we're very happy about it because we are headquartered in this building ourselves. So we're happy to see more and more tenants moving in particular the F&B tenants and some of the services tenants as well. So that occupancy is increasing as we speak, and we expect the occupancy to be close to about, I think, 80% by the end of this year. So the leasing, well, I say the occupancy momentum for quayside, apart from the office portion, the retail podium is still pretty relatively stable. As for the yield on cost, because indeed with the slower let out of the office podium, office portion, it is a bit lower. But then, we still need to go into until year end to see what the final numbers are, because as we speak, the leasing team is still actually very actively engaging with a number of potential office tenants. Hopefully, they will. Despite them moving a bit more slowly than before, we still hope to get, as AKS earlier said, to get them to sign on, as soon as possible. So you'll probably have a clearer picture on the final yield on cost for the current year, closer to the end of this financial year.
For the interest of time, I will take two more questions from the webcast. The next question comes from Cousin Leung of JP Morgan. What is the funding cost of the RMB debt that we have on our books?
The funding cost is about PBOC plus times 1.1. So you're looking at about 5 to 5.25 thereabout.
And the last question is coming from John Lam of UBS. What is your China retail sales growth in the first half of the year? And as well as if we can share what is the retail sales growth in October 2019?
Well, we share in our slides on page 22 the retail sales growth for the first 3 quarters, calendar year 3 quarter. And Beijing has a slightly slower growth of 4.8% increase. Guangzhou has been very strong and reflected in Metropolitan Plaza leasing result as well, and Shenzhen a 6.8% increase compared to the first 3 quarters last year.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. And thank you everyone who's joining our webcast today. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to contact any one of our investor relations teams or send us an email at ir@linkreit.com. Thank you, and we hope to see you next time.
Thank you.